religion is kindness. My church is nature. My God is a feeling that lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Everyone has a story. Everyone has pain. When we strip away our masks, we find that we're really all the same. It's those little things we say and do that can mean so much. It's a smile, a connection, a simple loving touch. My religion is kindness. My church is nature. My God is a feeling that lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Every day. Today I'm gonna ask myself, what more can I do? Can I do now? To be a radiant child of God and let my love shine through. I'm gonna let my heart be my guide to give the best of me. I'm gonna share my joy, share my love, give it boundlessly. My religion is kindness. My church is nature. My God is a feeling that lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Yeah. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Then Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came running after. She said, Jack, tell me, what can I do to help ease your mind? He said, hold my hand and just be kind, and I know I'll be fine. My religion is kindness. My church is nature. My God is a feeling, live deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. My religion is kindness. My church is nature. My God is a feeling that lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Every day. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Every day. My religion is kindness, and I'm going to practice it every day.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are we doing? Good. Y'all made it here. Good job. Welcome to Unity of the Sierra. Let's get started with our mission statement. To awaken, acknowledge, and nurture the divine in everyone. All right, with that, I think we'll just start with Surely the Presence.
I see glory.
And so as we come to know the presence, we focus inward as we pray together to know more fully this walk with God. We become one with the presence. Divine Spirit. Being in this presence is an experience of love, of joy, of peace. Knowing the stillness, the silence brings us comfort and brings us a heightened awareness of the truth of all that is. The truth that we are one as brothers and sisters of the divine. We are all guided by the same wisdom. We all experience the same compassion because these are attributes of the one source that dwells within. And so we are grateful for this time together to experience the presence in this way. And I invite you now to call out the names of those who have been weighing heavy on your mind or in your heart. Bring them into this sacred circle that we know as the presence.
Todd, Marcia.
I would like to add Vicki Nam to our circle. She has been with us in spirit every week as she's going through her healing process. And I would like to bring in the community of Oslo, Norway, who had a scare yesterday at their local mosque. All of us are together promoting peace, standing for peace in our oneness. We are strong, and we show that strength as our divinity, and we are grateful. I would like to read to you from the Daily Word, the word being harmony. Today I will blend differences into harmony. I don't have to know much about music to know that harmony can turn a simple melody into a symphony. It can make a choir magnificent and make country music heartbreaking. Harmony creates beautiful music. When two or more people harmonize, they don't sing the same note. Different but complementary notes make a more interesting sound. That's the very definition of harmony. So as I seek harmony in my life, I no longer insist that other people be just like me or see life the same way. Our differences can be harmonious if we are willing to attune to each other. Together, we create the music of the spheres. And from Psalm 100, Verse 1, make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. And with that, let's say our Lord's Prayer together.
God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Oh, God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything and every little thing that I need. And I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. Oh, God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything, everything I need. God gives me everything, every little thing I need. God gives me.
All right, centering now for meditation. I invite you to remove anything distracting from your hands or your lap as we rest and focus on our breath. Breathing in light and love. Exhaling, releasing, letting go. Over and over again. We inhale love, light, energy. That's okay. And focusing on that breath, releasing, letting it all go. In and out. Closing your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, knowing you are fully safe in the presence of the divine. No harm can come to me now as I reside in this now moment. I know all is well, right here, right now. And so I allow the thoughts that are in my mind to trail past, parade past the forefront of my mind as I move into the position of becoming the watcher of my thoughts. I see them. I hear them. I do not attach myself to them. They become the show, a display, And as I separate from my thoughts, I come to know that I am not my thoughts. And to prove that to myself, I'm going to take a moment, and I invite you all to do this with me, to silently watch your thoughts go by and count them one by one. The actual act of counting them proves to me that I am separate from them. Let's begin that right now. Now returning your attention back to my voice. Returning your attention back to your breath, in with peace and letting go all that is concerning you on the out breath. Breathing in spiritual confidence and releasing and letting go any barriers you have put up. Anything that you have put up that tells you that you are not enough, that you cannot do this, that you are not worthy. Together, let's let these all go on the out breath. In with peace, out with error thinking. In with peace and out with error thinking. One more time, I invite you to return your attention to the thoughts trailing by in front of you. And this time, as you watch them, look for that space in between the thoughts. See if you notice a space as tiny, as small as it may be. And when you locate that space, put your attention there. If this isn't easy, don't worry. It is all happening with grace and in divine order. In this space, I know myself as love. I invite you to continue allowing my words to be your words. I find myself as the love that I am, the reflection of the divine that I am in the space between my thoughts. And as I allow this space to grow, as I allow this knowing of myself as love to expand, I find joy in the no mind. I find joy where there are no thoughts. And as I experience this everlasting joy, even for only a moment, I know that I am connected to the divine. And the peace of this knowing propels me into my outer life, in the outer world. I may not yet be carrying the awareness of this inner peace with me in every moment, but I know it is there. I know and affirm that this is the stuff of which I am made, and it is good. It is divine. It is what we call the presence, the stillness, the silence, and I am a carrier of that. The source of all that is with me now. And so it is. So I invite you to take in a deep breath and exhale. And just open your eyes as you're ready to do so. We're in this nice, quiet, still place. The energy is perfect. And now we're going to disrupt that energy with a bright, happy, cheerful song that is going to wake us up and get us ready for receiving the word.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, and self-control. This is the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, and self-control. The fruit of the Spirit of God. You'll find it in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. And if you're walking close to God, this fruit will grow in you, and you'll have love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, and self-control. The fruit of the Spirit of God. The fruit of the Spirit of God.
Well, thanks for sticking with us through all of that. If you didn't notice, I brought my reading chair today. We do this a few times a year when there's just so much information that I do not want to interpret for you. And we have been talking so far this month, and we will continue to talk about the power of now, Eckhart Tolle's work. His first real, he burst out onto the scene with this book. He had an experience for 2 years of complete peace and joy. And so he wrote this book from that space. So much to tell you today, so much to read to you today. Okay, so I've asked you to pull out your old dusty copies of The Power of Now, because I think he wrote this book in the early mid-90s. And we're gonna do a little review, because some of you weren't here last week. And so I wanted to start with, we did our practice, right? We did our practice in our meditation with the thoughts, and with watching the thoughts, and then for looking for that space in between, right? And we're gonna review a little bit of what we did last week, and then we're gonna go into our next section, which is going to bring us to knowing how to immediately find, whenever we want to call it forward, the love that we already are, right? That inner joy that is with us at all times as an attribute of love. And that will lead us to the inner peace that we can call upon in any moment. Okay, so what I didn't get to read to you last week that I think really encapsulates it well is actually in the practicing the power of now, which is his book that he wrote to supplement the power of now. So he says, to the ego, the present moment hardly exists. Only past and future are considered important. This total reversal of the truth accounts for the fact that in the ego mode, the mind is so dysfunctional. It is always concerned with keeping the past alive, because without it, who are you? It constantly projects itself into the future to ensure its continued survival and to seek some kind of release or fulfillment. It says, one day when this, that, or the other happens, I am going to be okay, happy, at peace. Even when the ego seems to be concerned with the present, it is not the present that it sees. It misperceives it completely because it looks at it through the eyes of the past. Or it reduces the present to a means to an end that always lies in the mind-projected future. Observe your mind, and you'll see that this is how it works. But then he goes on to say the present moment holds the key to liberation. But you cannot find the present moment as long as you are in your mind. As long as you are your mind, excuse me. Enlightenment means rising above thought. That's huge. Even though I'm sitting and I've got my chair and I'm reading to you today, I always have to stop for commentary, right, when I do this. I remember hearing the term enlightenment for the first time in my world religions class at my Catholic high school. So I don't think enlightenment was really explained to me in that way. But if you really think about it, the liberation that you can experience when your mind is not cluttered, even if it is cluttered, if you're not attached, if you're allowing yourself to just be the observer of your thoughts, practicing that every day, and every day noticing more and more separation from the clutter, from the chatter, that is the path to enlightenment. So enlightenment means rising above thought. In the enlightened state, you still use your thinking mind when needed, but in a much more focused and effective way than before. That's the key. People think, well, I don't want to meditate so much that I become blissed out and I can't function in my life. No, it doesn't work that way. You become much more focused and effective. He says you use it mostly for practical purposes, but you are free of the involuntary internal dialogue, and there is inner stillness. Okay, so how does that sound? Does that sound like something you can agree with? I sent you a note during the week on our blog, quoting again Eckhart Tolle, love, joy, and peace, which is what we're talking about today. Love, joy, and peace are deep states of being, or rather 3 aspects of the state of interconnectedness with being. As such, they have no opposites. This is because they arise from beyond the mind. Emotions, on the other hand, being part of the dualistic mind, are subject to the laws of opposites. This simply means that you cannot have good without bad. So in the unenlightened, mind-identified condition that we all know so well, right? What is sometimes wrongly called joy is the usually short-lived pleasure side of the continuously alternating pain-pleasure cycle. Pleasure is always derived from something outside you, whereas joy arises from within. It's really important to know that distinction. I've told you many times, and I will continue to say it, if you're feeling down and you can't pull yourself up out of it, do something that brings you pleasure, because that is a step up on the ladder that will help you release some of that pain. Because we can't know joy, true joy that he's talking about here. We can't know that if we are focusing so much on what is wrong, right? We can't find that space of joy. So even thinking about things on the outside that are good is okay to do. things that bring you pleasure and gaining, even if it's that false joy that lifts your spirits, is a tool that we can use. And there's nothing wrong with that. But knowing the difference between that joy that comes from an outside pleasure to that inner wellspring within that you will come to know as you practice becoming the observer of your thoughts, as you practice opening and focusing in on that space in between the thoughts. When you come to know yourself as separate and not as identified by your thoughts, then you are on the path of being enlightened, of being able to call joy from the center of within you, and knowing that that is your communion with God. I like the no opposites part that he's talking about. Love, joy, and peace are deep states of being and have no opposites. It's very reminiscent of the Course in Miracles, right? It's right in alignment with that teaching that nothing and no one can harm us. But in this dualistic world, we know ourselves as good and bad. We judge everything around us as good and bad. But the highest truth in the absolute is that there is only love. And our first power, our first principle in unity speaks directly to that. There is only one power in the universe, God the good, omnipotent, right? There is evil out in the world. We can see it, we can name it, we can judge it, we can label it, but it has no power of its own. It only has the power that we give it in the now moment. But if we are truly aware of the now moment, we don't experience all that sadness, all that destruction as having anything to do with truth as we know it to be, because we've already experienced ourselves as love. Okay, so I wanted to read you. So this no mind concept that Eckhart Tolle goes into sometimes, no mind meaning that space in between the thoughts. He says Zen masters use the word satori to describe a flash of insight, a moment of no mind and total presence. Although satori is not a lasting transformation, be grateful when it comes, for it gives you a taste of enlightenment. You may indeed have experienced it many times without knowing what it is and realizing its importance. Presence is needed to become aware of the beauty, the majesty, the sacredness of nature. Have you ever gazed up into the infinity of space on a clear night, awestruck by the absolute stillness and inconceivable vastness of it? Have you listened, truly listened, to the sound of a mountain stream in the forest? Or to the song of a blackbird at dusk on a quiet summer evening? To become aware of such things, the mind needs to be still. You have to put down for a moment your personal baggage of problems, of past and future, as well as all your knowledge. Otherwise you will see but not see, hear but not hear. Your total presence is required. But we've all had that experience, right? And in order to have that experience, we didn't say, wait a minute, Babbling Brook, I've got to put away my stuff so I can be fully present and hear you. We didn't do that. We didn't go through that process. We didn't have to. Because we heard something so beautiful on the outside that it resonated with that beauty within. And we were able to connect with it through our divinity, through that space, the no mind. And we were able to be fully present to it. If you've ever lived on the coast or visited the ocean and have been so awestruck by the vastness of it, the peacefulness of it, the powerfulness of it, you were fully present to the awareness of the divinity of the ocean. And you didn't need to mindfully set your things aside. You were automatically there. Whatever that moment was for you, you may have had many of them, or you may have had one very powerful one that stays with you year after year. That time where you were just in the moment and everything around you flowed. Time stood still for you because you were so aware of what was going on. Eckhart Tolle says, beyond the beauty of the external form, there is more here, something that cannot be named, something ineffable, some deep, inner, holy essence. Whenever and wherever there is beauty, this inner essence shines through somehow. It only reveals itself to you when you are present. Could it be that this nameless essence and your presence are one and the same? Would it be there without your presence? Go deeply into it, he invites. Find out for yourself. Okay, so we started last week with listening to our thoughts, and then we delved into that space in between the thoughts. And today we're going to talk more about the emotion side of that, because we get confused with our emotions, don't we? It's like they seem so powerful sometimes. How can we tame them? Or sometimes we feel emotionless and we feel so disconnected by our emotions. We can't always identify what's going on. And we've talked before about how paying attention to your emotions really helps you identify where you are in consciousness, right? And once you do that, it's easier to let things go. So this is Eckhart Tolle on emotion, the body's reaction to your mind. Mind, in the way I use the word, is not just thought. It includes your emotions as well as all unconscious, mental, emotional, reactive patterns. Emotion arises at the place where mind and body meet. It is the body's reaction to your mind, or you might say a reflection of your mind in the body. The more you are identified with your thinking, your likes and dislikes, judgments and interpretations, which is to say, the less present you are as the watching consciousness, the stronger the emotional energy charge will be, whether you are aware of it or not. If you cannot feel your emotions, if you are cut off from them, you will eventually experience them on a purely physical level, as a physical problem or symptom. Right? We've all had that experience of you're nervous and you have stomach cramps, right? Or you have that butterfly feeling, or you're fearful and your breathing becomes shallow and your eyes dilate and you become more present. Right? We don't feel our eyes dilating, but we feel a physical response when we sense danger. If you have difficulty feeling your emotions, and I hope you're with him on this, we sometimes experience our emotions, right? They're in our face. But we're not necessarily feeling them. We're not intuiting with them. We're not using them for their true purpose, which is to communicate to us where we are in consciousness. So he says, if you have difficulty feeling your emotions, start by focusing attention on the inner energy field of your body. Feel the body from within. This will also put you in touch with your emotions. If you really want to know your mind, the body will always give you a truthful reflection. So look at the emotion, or rather feel it in your body. If there is an apparent conflict between them, the thought will be the lie. The emotion will be the truth. Not the ultimate truth of who you are, the relative truth of your state of mind at the time. Let's take just a moment and close our eyes and just focus inward. Focus on the inside of your body. I'm imagining like a test tube that runs the length of my torso. And in this test tube that is very perpendicular within me, parallel inside my body, there is a bubbling up of colors. Maybe you can sense like a smokiness. Or maybe you're not visual at all and you just sense that there is something going on there. You maybe can't identify it. But maybe it is just calmness because we're in this safe space. Maybe there's a darkness to it, something that you haven't yet dealt with. But just sit for a moment and feel the body from within. Does it feel effervescent? Does it feel like the ebb and flow, the silent, quiet lapping of tiny little waves on a still shore? Eckhart says you may not yet be able to bring your unconscious mind activity into awareness as thoughts, but it will always be reflected in the body as an emotion. And of this you can become aware. So again, open your eyes when you're ready and know that this is a practice. It's all a practice of becoming more mindful. He says to watch an emotion in this way is basically the same as listening to or watching a thought, which he described earlier. The only difference is that while a thought is in your head, an emotion has a strong physical component and so is primarily felt in the body. You can then allow the emotion to be there without being controlled by it. You no longer are the emotion. You are the watcher, the observing presence. So just like he took us through this process of becoming the observer of our thoughts, we can also do that with the emotions. He says if you practice this, all that is unconscious in you will be brought forth into the light of consciousness. So we know that sometimes we live, move, and have our being, small b being, as directed by our subconscious mind, and we're not really paying attention to those thoughts and those emotions, and we're making decisions based on the shadow side, on the pain that we're not paying attention to, that we've tucked safely away under the bed. Right? And we live through that lens, though, unaware. And these are the practices that really diffuse, shine light on the emotions and the thoughts that we're not paying attention to. We don't have to live through them as pain. We're just shining light on them. We're honoring them by allowing them to come forth and saying, yes, I see you. I know that you are a part of me, and I have compassion for that. And it is okay to be healed. It is okay to be in the light. So his last word on this is to make it a habit to ask yourself this. What's going on inside of me at this moment? That question will point you in the right direction. When I read this morning. What's going on inside of me at this moment? Next week, I'll ask permission from Jess Daylever. You all know Reverend Jessica that comes and visits us sometimes from Alchemist Theater. She has started this, I don't know, it's not really a podcast, it's these little videos, these little short videos that she does this puppet show with her son. And she's trying to teach him from an early age. Is he even a year yet? He's a year. Okay. So she's teaching him from a very early age to be present to the emotions that are going on inside of me. And she says, what are your insides telling you? And she might have even said that to you when she was here speaking last time. What are your insides telling you? And so she's always saying that to her son. And so she's created this little puppet show, and we'll get a little clip of that to show you next week, because it really can be so simple. It doesn't have to be this big ordeal, this big painful process. It can just be awareness. And because we have learned to separate ourselves from our thoughts, we don't have to attach to it. We don't have to judge it. We judge things as painful. We experience the pain, but we're also caught up in this cycle of pain. Oh, that's painful, get it away. Pain, oh, that's painful, right? We're judging the pain as we're labeling it pain. And we can break that cycle. Okay, I also wanted to read to you this Eckhart Tolle post. These are the keys to inner peace. Okay? I can make copies of this for you. There's a little link on the top. You can just copy that right into your search bar and get onto this website. This is from TolleTeachings.com. This is Eckhart Tolle's Keys to Inner Peace. Number 1, and don't write these down, it's a long list. So, disidentifying from the contents of your mind. We've already practiced that, right? He says, identification with our thoughts, fears, problems, roles. Shift your thinking away from the content of the thinking mind toward the dynamic aliveness of your physical body. I think of that dynamic aliveness as zeal, right? Charles Fillmore and his talk about zeal. And it makes me think of this effervescent life force energy that is within every cell of our bodies, this divine intelligence at the molecular level. So this is the dynamic aliveness of your physical body. Make it a regular practice, he says, to turn away from thinking while brining your awareness into your, he must have meant bringing your awareness into your body. The more you feel your body, the less identified you are with your thoughts. Then, identifying with your inner sense of aliveness. As you identify with your true nature, you will be filled with greater and greater peace. Your inner sense of aliveness is your own conscious presence, your beingness, the you that you really are, beneath your thinking and beyond your story. You can experience your inner sense of aliveness with simple body sensing exercises, with yoga, with conscious breathing. Living in the present moment. Most of our suffering arises from living in the past or dreading the future. Right? We know this. The peace we crave can only arise when we are here, now, alive, in the center of the present. Wherever you are, be there totally. If the present moment is unpleasant, painful, or intolerable, you can do one of 3 things. Remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it as it is. And he talks a lot more about that in the books. Accepting it as it is. Being now and present in the now doesn't involve any thinking of the mind, but it doesn't mean Once we return our thoughts to our problems don't go away. But the more we stay in the present, the more we separate from those, and we don't have the emotional charge. And solutions will either come, or we will accept things the way they are, which is much easier to do when you don't have an emotional attachment to them. So things seem to dissipate that way. So then he says, accept what is. When we reject our experience, we are caught in the trap of attachment and resistance. Judgment and rejection are forms of identification. We are identified with our desire and with preconceived notions of what will make us happy or what will give us peace. Acceptance is not a passive stance of victimhood. Acceptance is a proactive and powerful choice to be at peace. That's not easy, is it? I can understand why he says it's proactive and it's a powerful choice. When you accept what is, you free yourself from identification with your small self. When you accept what is, you are living the truth that you are more than your desires, fears, or circumstances. You are a living embodiment of pure spirit, of love itself. And he closes with this: love, joy, and peace cannot flourish until you have freed yourself from mind dominance. And so we'll put this in a more affirmative way as we say, if you'll allow my words to be your words, I am the very presence of life itself. I am enlivened by the power of zeal. And as I come to know myself in my closer walk with the divine within me, I know myself as love. I experience joy bubbling from within, and I live a life of inner peace. I claim this truth to be how I choose to live, move, and have my being. And our affirmation for the month is, I live in the now, and divine understanding is active in me. Through that power of divine understanding, I know that there is always more than what appears on the surface. I am lifted by the metaphysics of the word enlightenment, which means to be free of my thoughts and emotions. If you'll repeat after me, I live in the now. And divine understanding is active in me. And so it is.
Still know and trust. When the oceans rise and thunders roll, I will soar with you above the storm. Oh yes, I will. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still, know you, dark out, yeah, yeah. When the oceans rise and thunders roll, I will soar with you above the storm. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. You are king over the flood. I will be still, know you are God. When the thunders roll, oceans rise and thunders roll, say I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over every single one. I will be still, know you are God. Oh yes you are, oh yes you are. I will be still, know, oh God.
It's time for us to bring our gifts forward to share with our community. If you have brought something with you, gather that tithe, love offering together now. And let's, with intention, let's say our blessing together.
What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? Prosperity, prosperity, I claim it, I claim it. Abundance, abundance is mine, is mine. Love, love flows through me, flows through me. I feel joy, I feel joy all the time, all the time. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I claim it, I claim it. It is mine, it is mine. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I am it, I am it. It is mine, it is mine. Peace, peace fills my heart, fills my heart. I surrender, I surrender everything, everything. Health, health is my birthright, is my birthright. Passion, passion helps me sing, helps me sing. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I claim it, I claim it. It is mine, it is mine. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I am it, I am it. It's my time, it's my time. Break it on down. Anything I want, anything I desire, anything that brings me to my highest good. Anything I want, anything I desire, anything that brings me to my highest good. I release, and let go, I accept, what is mine, I can have, what I want, and let spirit, direct the flow. Life is good, life is fun, life is great, this song is done.
All right, as I ask you to bring your attention up to the front one more time as we bless these gifts that have been given in spirit, because we know that as we give, so we receive. And as we place our highest desires in this basket with our gifts and our tithes, we know that we are desiring the fullest walk with God that we can have, the fullest walk of God that we can experience. And we get to have that when we let go and let God and open that space to receive more of that. And it is good, and all is well, and so it is. All right, let's stand and say our prayer for protection.